Hello?
Hello?
Hello, I can see you.
Hi. Are you okay?
Yeah, good morning. You okay?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Thanks. Yeah, slowly getting back into the swing of things in the new year. Basically, in conversation it's been set up just really for us to have a chance to speak to yeah, all different types of creatives like models, photographers, stylists, makeup artists. Um, and it's just a chance to sort of delve into the industry a bit and get sort of some of your thoughts and again what you kind of enjoy about the industry and then yeah, sort of talking about some of the images and why how you created them and what you liked about them basically. But we can start from the start and we'll go with how you got started in modeling. So how did you get started with it really?
I started modeling when I was 13. Um, but my granddad from about, I don't know, I think I was about 7 to about 12, he was really into photography, and he would always take photos of me, and he would always be like, "Oh, you should be a model, you should be a model." And loads of my family would always say, "Oh, you should be a model." And I asked my mum, and she was like, "No, you're not applying." I think she was worried about like rejection and all that sort of stuff. So I did it behind her back, and I must have sent the most dodgy like mirror selfies and whatever phone I had when I was 12 to an agency. And then 4 days later I was signed, and that was it.
And that's with was that with Jador that you're with now?
No, that was an agency called Tyne Tees Models, which is based in Newcastle.
Okay, and that's where you're from. You're from Newcastle.
Yeah, from Newcastle.
So how did you find? I know you said a lot about your mum mentioned about the stuff, the rejection stuff, and all that. How have you found it so far?
I found it fine. I think I was just so grateful to be in the industry that I was never bothered by it. And luckily, Tyne Tees was so supportive at the start, and they take on a lot of younger models, and they really help them grow. And I got a lot of support from them on how to handle rejection and how to take it. But to be honest, in the early days, I just did loads of test shoots, and there wasn't a lot of initial rejection in that sense. I wasn't going to castings and being told no to my face and things like that. But it was just more the fun side of it when I first started out, which then gave me the confidence for when that started to happen in older years.
Yeah. I think that's probably like the best way to get started. Really, let's say it's more kind of for the fun of it and just kind of do, especially doing those like tests and get going and just build the confidence and that kind of sort of thing. Um, is it full time now or is it on the side? How are you doing it?
It, it's still on the side. I mean, I'm very committed to modeling, and it's something that I'll always make time for or arrange all of my work arrangements around it. And hopefully I can progress making it more of a full-time thing, but it's just a hard industry to crack, I think.
Yeah, I think it's getting like the more that the brand stuff and that the kind of thing that comes in, then that's when it can like really sort of snowball. I think it's that kind of thing. Once people, the more you see your face and that kind of thing,
Yeah,
especially from the model side, that really helps. And then the more campaigns to see you in, then they're like, we want to get her in again, want to get so. I think it's just one of
yeah.
the more stuff you can get.
It definitely, it's like that one job can just send you off, and then that's it.
Yeah. Is there any from when you were kind of starting out or even now? Is there any other models or creatives that you get inspiration from, either anyone sort of close by in the field or anyone what famous or anything like that?
I mean, when I was like say like 13 in the early days of modeling, like Cara Delevingne was the main supermodel at the time, and I just was obsessed with her for a lot of reasons. I related to her a lot in a sense of my look, like for being younger and always being like picked on for having bushy eyebrows, and then for this supermodel to come into action and have these iconic brows, like it just took so much inspiration from her to keep going. And I would watch all of her Vogue interviews, from her what's in her handbag to backstage catwalks, shoots, everything. I knew it all. And she was definitely someone that sort of kept me so inspired in the industry at a young age. But as I've gotten older, I care about different things about modeling now. I really care about the quality of model that I am. And there's this model called Coca Rocha, I believe that's how you say her name. And I found her on TikTok, and she's actually quite a famous model, and she makes these videos on how to pose and how to be fluent on set. And she says that if you're not exhausted after a photo shoot, then you haven't really modeled. And I really take that with me now, and about how I'm posing and my facial expressions and how to move on set to create great images. And that's my main inspiration now, is I always look back at her and watch her videos and see how I can improve as a model in that sense.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think that's one of the big advantages in nowadays as well of having there's so many ways to sort of see people are putting up a lot of, if it's behind the scenes or how they do stuff, or like say like interviews with people, and I think it can be really good, I think, from that side as well, what a learning thing, and seeing people who have, if they've made it, all that kind of thing, and how they do it as well. And I think just from your side as well, I think to sort of as something to kind of take on board, and look, especially when like you're learning and developing, like growing as a model stuff, I think it's definitely stuff that it gives you an insight that maybe people might not have had like in the past. So yeah, well, let's go into the first image then. We'll get started with that. So the first one I was going to talk about is the double shot. And let me just get the info up. So that was, it says the hairdressers were Hooker and Young. And I think was going through, checking on your Instagram and going through, and I think it said around, was that around about 2018? Is that correct?
Yes, that would have been 2018, yeah.
Yeah, so so who was that for? Was it for them? Was it for the hairdressers? Was it for their salon or anything like that?
Yeah, so for Hooker and Young as a salon in the Northeast, that I work with quite a lot, I've worked with for a long time. And that was actually at Pro Hair Live, which is a salon like convention in Manchester. And this image is one of my favorite images from any of the shows that we've done, because it's the concept of this is it's not actually in a studio. We've come off a stage, we've done the show, and you literally go into like a little stall at this convention, and there's a backdrop, and Chris was the photographer, and they just take a photo, and one photo from each show is selected, and this was the one that they came back with, and it's one of my favorite images. And the other girl in the shot is a girl called Jess that I've worked with for years as well, and we get on so well, and we always put together in images as well, so it's just a really nice photo of both of us. Oh,
so that was like, you say, like right after the show, and then you get a quick shot and do that.
But so it's in and out. It's not like I think this photo looks like it's been a studio day, and it's been a full set day, and it's not, we've just come off stage and it's a quick photo, and then the next girls go in. So it's a great image just to know that it was just rushed and that's it done. But I guess that's credit to Chris, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, was there much when you came and did that? Was there much direction? Was it literally just quick photo, do that, or did he give you a bit of direction? And because again, the poses are really, I mean, yours is really strong as well. And I think, is that something that, did he direct that, or did you just go with that?
I think me and Joss, with modeling together so much, we can just sort of go with it now. We know how to move with each other, and we know each other's strong points and weaknesses, so we can just jump on set and create something. Chris has a good direction of like positioning us and sort of explaining what he wants from the image, but to be honest, me and Jess can just go for it.
Yeah. Have you shot much with other models as well, or has it not mostly been kind of on your own?
Yeah, I've done quite a few different pieces with different models for magazines and a lot of hair collections. But it's just normally when you're testing, it's on your own. But a few of the magazine tests I've done have been sort of couple shots in, but it's mainly the hair work where I find myself paired up with someone else.
And what was the show like in general? Was it a really good experience?
Yeah, they always are good. I mean, everything's choreographed sort of on the day. The guys put so much effort into, the back work of it. It's planned for weeks ahead, styling, the hair, the makeup, everything. It's put together, and then on the day, it's just, like I say, it's a group of people I work with quite often, so we always have a good time because it's just like being there with all your friends. So it's always good.
Yeah, that makes it a bit easier, a bit more fun. Image 2 is the beach image. And then I've got, is it Smalley, is the photographer?
Michael Smalley, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this one like just jumped out to me. It's like really strong. I mean, there's so many kind of the dress, like the hair, the light hitting you as well. Well, first of all, like, where was it shot?
It's just shot on the Newcastle coast.
Right.
I think this one was at Colour Code. No, was it? I'm not sure. Just one of the beaches in Newcastle. It's not too far from either of us. I mean, Michael drives up from Hartlepool, so we tend to try and meet in the middle somewhere. But yeah, this was just on the coast. It was a reasonably sunny day. I don't think it was that warm from what I can remember. And we just put it together. But this image that you've chosen is my favorite from that whole shoot. There were so many good ones, but this one in particular, right? It's a light in the composition of it all, the styling. And the thing with Michael is we've worked together for so long, and we put these shoots together and we kind of just throw them together over a week, and we'll both do an ASOS order, and we'll just bring everything that we can, and we just pick it all on the day. But he's just got such an eye for location and lighting, and he's just a really good photographer, and it's kind of person I can just trust to produce something good, and I don't need to be involved with it too much. He's like, can you go stand over there, or can you do this? And I'll just say, yeah, that's not a problem, because I know it's going to have a good outcome.
Yeah, do you find it with someone you've shot with before and quite a lot? I mean, is that something you kind of you look for? Or I mean, everyone likes working with new people as well. But I mean, especially from my side, I do like working with I like sort of working with new people, but I still like working with like same models or makeup artists or anything. Some people that I'm familiar with and confident with. Is that something you like to regularly do? Like work with people you've worked with quite a lot before?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so much better when you've already got this relationship and everyone's comfortable with each other, and you know how each other work and how a shoot is. I mean, a lot of photographers shoot differently, and I find it so much better that when I've worked with someone quite often, I know how I'm going to need to model that day, if I'm going to need to move quickly or slowly, or you know how I'm going to approach it. Because normally on a new shoot, you can't. By the end of the shoot, everything's fine, but the first couple of rounds of shooting, it's just finding your feet, and then you start producing the best images from then on.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like working with people that I've already got a relationship with, because one, again, it's hanging out with a friend, you have a really good time, and it's so much easier to talk about the images before and after the shoot as well, so you always end up with the best. So if a friend of mine who's I'm shot with sends me a photo and I'm not so keen on it, I feel more it's easier for me to say, actually, don't really like that one, is there another one? Or and we both get everything out of it that we can.
Yeah, and I think on the shoot as well, I think you kind of, once you've shot with someone quite a few times, you kind of know what they're looking for, what they know what you're looking for. You kind of bounce ideas off each other. I think, say with this shot as well, I think we're talking about like the light as well, the way light's hitting, but then it's just as you're looking off to the side, so it's kind of, I can see it's kind of one of those two things where obviously like Michael's seeing with the light, and then you've kind of turned your head off to the side just as it's catching the light as well. So I think you can see when people connect well with the photographer or the model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and Michael, like I say, Michael's great with light and everything, and he always gives a lot of direction. So he would have been looking at this set and then looking through the camera and being like, yeah, turn your head this way, step a little centimeter this way, to make sure that the light was perfect on the image. Like it doesn't really happen by chance often with Michael. He's like set it up in his head.
Well, do you prefer that on shoot? When you're doing shoots, do you like a lot of direction? Do you like a bit of a mix? Do you like to sort of have a bit of freedom to do everything, or do you like some photographers are very kind of a lot more like, put your arm here, do this? Some are a lot more kind of flexible and see how it goes. Do you have a preference?
I do prefer to sort of just be, just crack on it and get on with it. But I would always ask what the vibe is, see the mood board, the story behind the images, the styling, and speak to everyone about it. I would always have sort of a conscious mind of making sure that the makeup is in the shot or the clothing is, but just sort of being free to move as is. And then that's when my ideas start coming out, and then the direction could come in there, or don't do that, or do it like this. And that's when I feel like the whole team comes together to create better things, because then I think I have like a mental book of poses that I can bring out on a shoot and that they might not have even seen a reference for. So I think it's better when the models can sort of do their own thing, because it might be something that they didn't even picture in their head when they put the concept together.
Yeah, I find being a bit flexible, and because I mean, sometimes you shoot, sometimes I'll have something in my head, stuff in my head, a bit like, I want it to like you do, and it's just not happening. and I can't quite pinpoint it. Again, it just doesn't look right, whatever. But then I think if you stick too rigid to that, it can be a bit like you've got your mind fixed on something.
Mm-hmm.
Then you might miss, like you say, if as opposed to being a bit more open to sort of something that's just a bit, you just try on the spot or something, you might miss that if you are really restricted to just kind of having a certain pose that you want to do. In terms of like with shoots, do you have any like routines or anything you do, like any kind of preparations for it or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, with shoots, I do have sort of the night before prep, which is just making sure that I can be as pristine as I can be for the next day. So that's like nails, hair, skin, just everything I can do to, look the best I can. But for things when it's like branded work or, your paid work, not just tests, I would like to research the brand and understand what they stand for, their aesthetic, and just little things about that. So when I walk in on the day, I've already got this preparation of how I need to behave on set to produce brand related content. And then it helps me visualize what they've envisioned when they show me the mood board, because I'll know a bit more about the brand and relate to them a bit more. I think it's always better to go prepared than to just sort of show up on the day and be like, hi.
Yeah, well, I think that's a nice thing to say as well, because I think often, from the photography side as well, you get that where you sort of shooting with a brand, you need to know how they want to look. You look at the other shoots they've done before as well. So I think from the model side as well, it's nice to do that as well, because again, from your side, you're bringing what the brand need from you, from sort of like say like the look and the poses as well. So I think I think everyone who's getting involved, to do the research, it definitely does help, and you can see the difference on the shoot when you get the brand straight away. It saves a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just, like you say, nice to put that bit of research into it, so you can just sort of blend in with the team straight away, and it can only help you get more work in the future, because if you click in the first 10 minutes, then they're going to already feel like you're right for the brand and that they've made a good choice. So it all ends up being well in the end.
Yeah. On a shoot, is there anything you kind of prefer, like like certain types of music, anything that gets your lot vibe?
The thing is with music is I listen to a lot of different music, and a lot of the music that I listen to probably wouldn't be something that was played on the shoot, because it's not really that popular. But it just, again, it depends with the brand. And I do this thing on set, and I really get into character, and I kind of try to embody the aesthetic as much as I can. And if the type of music that they're playing it goes well with what we're doing, I'll just sort of vibe with that, rather than me going and saying, okay, if they're not playing Beyonce, I'm not going to be able to do a good job today. It's not like that. It's like I will just sort of go with what they want on. But as long as there's music on and there's a few stacks kicking about, then we're not tend to be quite good.
Yeah. And from like the sort of from the, say, like the creative team or anything as well, like types of, do you like like a bit of input from everyone from the creative side? I mean, as opposed to just being a shoot where it's, say, like just cinematographer, do you like sort of everyone kind of having their input
On set, or just sort of when I'm setting up a shoot, or
just on set? So when you're doing the shoot, just again like that whole kind of idea of like everyone bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said earlier, it just creates better content, and you do get jobs where clients got something in their head and everyone's just making that dream come true, and that's very much what we should be doing, especially on any sort of paid environment. But again, the makeup artist is hired for a reason, the photographer is hired for a reason, the model is as well, and it's to give that input. You're not hired as just a face, you're not hired as just a camera, you're not just the makeup. You have got that job for a reason because of what you managed to produce. So I think definitely getting input from the whole team can create better outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. Next image was the cover. So that was the Hairdresser Journal cover.
Oh yes, I have one.
There it is. Yes. So tell us a bit about this. So you mentioned about it being like on the salon billboard and stuff like that.
Yes, so Salon International is another convention that happens in London, and it is ginormous. It's the craziest environment. And until I started working in the hair industry with modeling, I had no idea that this side of hair existed. This shoot was from Sophie Gibson's collection. The rest of it is inside of here. And we shot it, and then I just got a message one day saying, "You won't believe this." And I was like, "What's happened?" And you're going to be on the cover of HJ. And this is just like one of my favorite achievements, because this magazine is so big in the hair world, and then to arrive at Salon and see my face on billboards that stood twice the height of me was just, you know, the little girl's dream come true. So it's definitely one of my favorite covers, and the whole team on this set is, again, Hooker and Young, that I've worked with for so long, so I just enjoy every minute of being around them. And then the makeup artist Megumi is incredible. The work that she created that day, I mean, the look itself, like my eyebrow, the makeup, everything just took time, but it was so worth it in the end. And it's nice to have purple hair for a day.
How long did it take to do the look? Can you remember?
I'm not sure, so long ago now. Like, that was the October 2018 issue, so I probably shot this in like February 2018 or much earlier in the year. I can't remember now, but I think the makeup process probably took about an hour. Megumi's assistant normally takes a lot of care into skincare and skin prep, and there's a lot of that comes with it as well, that not all makeup artists, you know, do that. Everyone takes care of skincare, but this was like a whole ordeal, which is amazing, and you always feel amazing afterwards. And then Megumi will start her makeup looks. But yeah, it was a particularly nice shoot, that one.
Yeah, you mentioned about the purple hair as well, and stuff with hair is when it comes to hair on shoots, is it something you're kind of happy to go with any kind of look when it comes to it, are you happy to just go for it?
Yes and no. So I have a few more terms and conditions now. I'm a bit older. When I was shooting hair quite often, it got to a point where my hair got very damaged. I had to cut it all off, which I loved, and it was an experience, and it got me work. And as a model, it was nice to change up my look like that. But now I very much care about the condition of my hair and having it short and blonde. But if dyes are going to come out, that's fine. I will happily have my hair dyed, as long as I can get back to blonde after.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things I mentioned to because we did one of the chats with Erica Moore as well, and I was talking to her about like one of the shoots she'd done with you as well, and I said I really love like sort of like the stuff you've done in your looks, and among other stuff, so I was like, I said to Erica, like, Deann's hair is always amazing. And it's just one of those things, like, I don't know what, but yeah, so like when I seen that shot as well, and again, it's just having that sort of color. I mean, are you always going to keep it short? Have you had it like longer before?
Yeah, like, this is a debate I've been having recently. So through lockdown, it grew to about here, and I haven't had hair that long since I was about 14. And it's just not for me. I'm just a short hair girl, and I think it's much better for my look, and I just don't want to be like every long hair blonde model. I want to give something more, have a bit of more of an interesting look, and I just feel like I suit it better. So I think I'm a short hair girl for the long term.
Yeah, well, I think it does suit you. I think it looks great, and I think, like I say, it's kind of almost a recognizable thing as well. So yeah, on the sort of in terms of other photographers, makeup artists and stylists, is there anyone, I know you mentioned about it a bit earlier about having sort of teams that you like working with, is there anyone in particular that you like working with regularly?
Yeah, I've got some absolute OGs from Newcastle that have worked with me since the start of my career at 14, and like, it's what I love about working with these people is that we have all grown. So we have been working in this industry for years now, and the quality of our work has just gotten better and better and better. And we shoot sort of every year, every couple of months, and we're still producing new work. And a few of them is a photographer called Deeann March. I've worked with Dean since the get-go. Again, Michael Smalley, I know we chatted about him earlier. A girl called Charlotte Summers, who is just fantastic. She puts together the whole shoots. She styles it. her concepts are incredible, and she just produces excellent work every single time without fail. A fantastic photographer called Marie Harkins. So I don't often get to shoot with Marie, but every time I have, she is a local photographer in Newcastle. The photos just are on my books for years, and they're just incredible quality, and the shoot day is always enjoyable. So those were the ones that from sort of the OGs that I work with, but now sort of as an older model, I love working with Erica. We always have a great time. We've also built that outside of shoot relationship. We text, we, you know, keep each other up to date on our life drama, and have all that sort of relationship outside of it. And Stefan Smalls, I've worked with Stefan so many times, and again, we have such a excellent outside of shoot relationship. We keep in touch all the time, and just sort of speak about things that don't involve modeling, and keep them sort of separate in that sense. And then we'll come together, and he'll be come up with this concept, and basically, like, you say jump and I'll say how high. Let's do.
Yeah, well, I've seen, like, yeah, Stefan's stuff's amazing as well. So I mean, Stefan's one I'd love to try and get on here as well and have a chat to. And you mentioned about some of the earlier days as well. I think, say, like with photographers and that, is that a nice thing to see each other developing and growing as you're both learning, sort of like, say, you're learning with the modeling, they were learning photography?
Yeah, definitely. I think with modeling in Newcastle, and in the industry in Newcastle being, you know, smaller and not a massive amount of opportunity, when we see each other do well, it just like touches the heart. So it's like these people that you've known for, how long have we been doing this now? 8 years, is that right? Yeah, 8 years. And then seeing how they've grown as well, and in everything that goes on in their lives, and we all see each other, and it's like a big family, and it is like the OGs, and it's just so nice to see them do well, and when they change career or do different bits and bobs, and it's just nice to know these people are moving forward in their lives, and being successful in their chosen field.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's nice, and I think you notice with people like that as well, who you kind of stay in touch with as well. Yeah, fourth and final image then is so this is one I picked out for it's the Savage and Fenty ambassador image.
Yeah.
So I've picked this one out because I've noticed a lot of, like, with the J'adore models as well, have been these photos. So is this, yeah, kind of, is this something that gets sent over to the agency and then kind of passed on to you to shoot?
Yeah, so the Savage Fenty ambassador is, they send us the underwear to wear, and then we create the content for them. And J'adore don't really have much input into what content we're creating. They just sort of, this is this week's launch, here you are, let us know when you're posting it, and that sort of just set yourself away on it. This one was I love these photos, and it's quite funny, the bit behind it as well. So I was just texting my best friend, and I had this idea, and I was like, I really want to wear this set on the beach. And it was, you know, it was that like warm time where it's like 9 o'clock at night and it's still light, and it was just a really nice setting. And I messaged my friend, and I was like, bit random, but will you come and take some photos of me at the beach? And we just went straight there and took these photos, and we just had such a laugh. And I was like lying in the sea, and they weren't going right. And to be honest, I didn't even think I got one photo while we were there, but we just having such a laugh, like running into the sea, and people were laughing at us, and we're just having such a fun time. So the backstory behind these photos, I just really like, because it ended up being such a fun evening for me and one of my best friends. And then the photos end up being great and got a really good reaction from everyone.
Yeah, do you like that? Let's say it was just you and your friend. So do you like that sort of having from your side being a bit like creative with it and coming up with some of the ideas for like to sort of some of the shots to get for it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to sort of have a bit of muse and then just sort of run with it and do different things and come up with different ideas myself. Where I am in sort of full control of it, and it gives me a chance to be like, look, I can do this, and this is something that I would do. And then having such supportive friends that don't cringe when I'm like, can you take a photo of me, and just sort of go along with it, it's still good as well.
Yeah, because did you have many Did you do any during like say lockdown stuff? I know a lot of people were doing sort of like sort of FaceTime shoots and all that kind of thing, or even just creating. I know there'll be like some models creating stuff for brands where they'll just shoot at home and stuff like that and sending. Did you have any of that you did?
I didn't do anything for brands as such, but I did do a lot of FaceTime shoots, and this is something I really loved about lockdown. The opportunities that came with it. I shot with photographers in Paris, in LA, all over the world, like people that I would never ever get that experience with. And we would sit on FaceTime after and chat and getting to know these people that I would, if lockdown didn't happen, I would never have spoken to them. And it's building those relationships, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to go and shoot with these people, these connections that I've made in real life, and we'll get to bring these FaceTime shoots into a real concept and do it properly. And that was my favorite opportunity from that. And it was great to sort of shoot with photographers I've always worked with, to create a bit of different content, but being able to reach out into the whole world to shoot, and looking at time differences. And sometimes I was translating conversations with photographers, and it was just insane, but I loved it. And it was definitely kept me through the lockdown period.
Yeah, I think it was it definitely offers like again a sort of a good experience, a wider experience of like and it might be through like FaceTime, but meeting people, other photographers from different parts of the world, and it opens that up a bit. And in a similar way to the shots like the Fenty ones as well, was when you're shooting with the photographers, I mean everyone might be different, but was there a lot of creatives from your side where you were kind of thinking about how to set it up? Because obviously it's tricky, they can describe it, but how was it? Was it a lot from their side of direction, or did you have a lot of sort of creative input from that side?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of input, just because I had to be like, okay, where in my house can I make this not look like my house, or just what styling we can do, what have I got to work with, where will the connection be good enough for me to take photos that don't look like they took on a Nokia. So a lot of that came into it, and a lot of prep for me. But a lot of the photographers, we had a quick FaceTime beforehand, looked at the house, worked together on where we're going to take photos, where the light was good, if the light was going to be good enough that day. There was a lot of FaceTime shoots that got cancelled because I was like sending photos of the sky and it would be grey. But it's not going to happen today, unfortunately.
Yeah, they'll just look over and you go,
sense,
yeah, that's England for you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just to reduce the quality of the camera so badly, so it just wouldn't be worth it. But yeah, and it was good fun, and it was not, like I say, just nice to speak to these people and see what they're doing, and make these connections. I still chat to these people now, and it's so far on now.
Yeah, I think it's a nice thing to do, and again, you never know what kind of doors it opens up in the future as well, and have it like, I mean, the big thing with the industry is like building connections, and more people you know, the better. So I think, yeah, if it's definitely people from other parts of the world as well, yeah, it definitely, you never know what it's going to chuck up in the future. In terms of the future, is there any sort of any concepts or themes of stuff that you want to try?
So I've got a few ideas in the pipeline, for beauty images, to do quite sort of a high fashion makeup look, and that's in discussion at the minute, and that's something that I sort of approached a makeup artist that I've worked with before to see if she'd be up for it, and she was. But it's also something that I know that she would enjoy, and that comes together. But something that I always think about when it comes to concepts, and in the model coming up with concept, I think it's great when a model does that, but I work with creatives because I like their style and their concepts, and I could sit and create shoots all day long, but then every shoot's going to look the same because it came from me. And I would much rather speak to a creative, and someone that I really admire their work, and find out what they want from me, and then I can make that come true, and then that betters me as a model, my skills on set to like embody the project and just become the concept. Like, I don't want to come up with them myself and then all my images look the same. I want to work with all these different creative people and have all these different shoots in their style. If you know what I mean, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I would much rather have less control, because then if it's just me all the time, then that's just me. But everyone has their own creative mind, and I would much rather work with that instead of being like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
If you know
I
what I
think,
mean.
yeah, like you're saying, you want to go to certain photographers have their own style, different kind of looks, and you want to work with them for that. And I think, like I say, from your side, you still have your own input, but it's really you're there to embody it and to sort of portray what they're trying to get across, basically. Is there, you don't have to name anyone, but in terms of like with the fit, we've talked about, have you got some in mind that you kind of know that you're like, yeah, I want to do this for that certain style, in terms of future shoots, like in terms of like, are you looking for ones to do like a lot of like fashion stuff, or kind of more like conceptual or like storytelling things, or is it just whatever comes up, really?
It's really whatever comes up. I mean, I do have Pinterest boards full of inspiration, and I save things on Instagram on a daily basis. You know, that's amazing. I would love to do something like that. And it all ranges, and it's just really me waiting for a creative with that style to approach me, or I'm in discussion with them and they're like, this is what I want to do. And I'll be like, okay, well, I've seen this and I think this is your style. What do you think? And that's when that comes up for discussion. But editorials are the little passion projects, and I think every model should do them from time to time. Obviously nobody gets paid and it takes that out of it, but being involved in a shoot where there's a story and everyone's on set, it knows the process from start to finish, and there's all that input and creative energy, the imagery that comes out of editorials is just incredible. And that's what like keeps you going. I think the passion projects in the middle of the ecom work and all of the sort of businessy side of modeling, and then you have these really exciting campaigns and projects where everyone gets really creative, and it can be high fashion, it can be weird and wonderful, and I can show up on the set one day and I'm like, really? But let's do it. Had a few of them recently actually, but you just got to be up for it, I think, and then just, like I say, embody what everyone wants to do and make it happen.
Yeah, there's something about that sort of freedom it gives you when you're doing your own thing, and as opposed to if you are shooting for a client or a brand or something, there's a very specific thing they need. And again, it goes back to what we were saying about that, the sort of freedom you get when you can sort of just kind of see what you come up with, sometimes even as you're shooting and how it develops. So no, I'll definitely agree with that. I think there's definitely trying to make time to do your own stuff, and whether it is testing and stuff, like it's especially the early days as you're kind of learning it, really sort of there's certain stuff that you start working out, you start learning what to do, what works and everything. But then even as you become more experienced, I think it's definitely something to sort of keep doing when you can, just to keep experimenting.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to refresh yourself and, like I say, expand your skills, and just remember the fun bit. And remember, I mean, it's all fun. It's an excellent industry to work in, but the like, you know, what's going on, what we can do, who am I today, what's the character meant to be like, what's the feeling, am I happy, am I sad, am I excited, and just learning how to create expression and body language and bringing that out on a set. And you're right, you learn it best when you're doing these little passion projects where it's the creative team that come up with it, not a brand, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I like the way you embrace it like that, and like say you want to say you're taking on this character or whatever, and you really want to sort of portray that. And I think that's something that, yeah, you do really want from a model. You want them to sort of make it their own and sort of really sort of take on whatever, if it's like a character or something. Brands wise, is there anyone that you're looking that you would love to shoot with in the next few years?
Oh, brand wise, I mean, there's so many brands that I think that, you know, I could work well in. There's little, you know, 13-year-old Deeann dreams. I would absolutely love to be in some sort of perfume advert or sort of perfume job. I think that would be, you know, such a milestone for me to hit. Brand wise, I would love to do a bit more stuff with makeup. I would love to work with Charlotte Tilbury. I've done quite a few things for the counter in Fenwick and Newcastle, and you know, a bit for some of their best makeup artists in the past. And I would love to actually work with them on a shoot. I think that would be a really great experience.
Yeah,
But
and no, sorry, carry on.
As I say, I don't sort of have sort of this log of brands in my head that I would want to work with. I'm just always so grateful for whatever comes my way. I think again it goes back to getting a chance to work with all these different people and have all these different experiences, and showing up on a day and being like, okay, so this, you've got to be this aesthetic today, and learning from that, rather than in my head being like, oh, I think I would suit this or suit that.
Yeah, absolutely. And final one, with the talking about the future and that as well, I think, do you see yourself staying in Newcastle? Do you see yourself moving to, I mean, obviously like London's a big one with like fashion and all that sort of stuff. Is that something you see yourself doing?
If it was right, I wouldn't say no to it. I'm in a lot of discussion with Jado at the minute about placements elsewhere, see what traveling I can get out of it. And yeah, just sort of being here, there and everywhere. I think Newcastle's a nice base because, you know, I've lived here all my life, and it's, you know, where my family are, my friends are, and I would take a jump to move to Manchester or London if it was right and if it was going to be good for my career. Definitely. I mean, especially Manchester's so up and coming, and London can feel like, you know, you're very little fish in a big pond, and there's a lot of fantastic models, but you won't come into a casting at London and there's sort of 7 or 8 girls that look exactly like you, but as you come sort of further up the country, it's more distributed in a sense of where you hold on to your look and you're a bit more individual. But the opportunities that you get in London are through the roof, so you do have to weigh up the options. But I would never say no, but at the minute I'm happy in Newcastle.